Anything else you want to look for? I think that it's very important to keep things fresh. So even though I sell antiques and old stuff, it has to have a new flavor and a changing flavor. So I'm always looking at different styles in antiques and that unique thing that I've never found before. That keeps me going all the time. Hi, I'm Laura Fitch and I'm the owner of Sweet Revival. I chose for this shop my favorite things. And I think that coffee creates an atmosphere of friendship and camaraderie. I love the story that antiques tell. And of course, life isn't complete without chocolate. I didn't have anything to do with this name. There was a neighbor who was a former church member here who came up to me one day and she said, "What are you going to do with that old building?" And I told her, well, it's going to be an antique and coffee shop. And she said, "I have a name for you. It's Sweet Revival." And I said, "That's absolutely perfect. It's what I've been looking for and it's what it's all about. We're about reviving a piece of history and of course, we love the sweets. So it is a sweet revival." We live not too far from here, and I'd always admired the building. And when we saw that it was empty, I knew that I could do something with it. It was always a church, always a wartime church. When King's was founded, it was founded as a cattle town. Mr. King had the railroad go through, and he decided at one point that this town needed a church. So he said that whoever could get a building on this site would get the deed to the land. And so the people of this church picked up their church, put it on a horse-drawn sledge, and pulled it down the highway and placed it here. People have asked me for stories about this church ever since we opened, and I tell them I know that it was always a wartime church. It was built in 1862, added on to in 1915. So I feel that the place was built as a refuge from the trials of war. When we first purchased the building, there was a lot of hesitancy from area people, wondering what we were going to do with this space and if we were going to destroy the building. And I think that everyone was very pleased to see the transition that we made. I purchased him from a person that I know. Why antiques? Well, I have loved antiques since I was a kid. I grew up around my grandma's antiques, and they've always had a special place in my heart. And I wanted to share that with other people in an atmosphere that suited old things. Honoring God in this place is always on my mind. It's always been part of what I do. So I feel it's important to treat everybody that comes in here with respect. And if they ask me why I do this, I tell them I do it because this is where God has led me. It's not what I ever expected to be doing with my life, but this is the path that I've followed.
Would you like a bag for sure?
Okay. Before Sweet Revival, I was a teacher. I taught for 17 years. I had no retail experience whatsoever. So coming into this, I was completely blind, and it was just a walk of faith. One of the most challenging things about opening a business here was changing the use of an old church to something new, because there was a plethora of codes and licensing and education that I needed to have, and it was very daunting. So there were times when I had to sit and have a good cry and then pick myself up and say, we're not quitting. Being a teacher, I was used to finding solutions, and so that's what I had to do here. I had to dig in and do my research and keep hunting until I figured things out. I think what I'd like people to know about retail in Illinois, and especially small business, is that it's so much more time and more work than what it appears. So I truly appreciate it when customers come in and notice the time and the effort that's gone into creating that special space for them. I hope that every person that comes in here has a special experience and that they realize that they're in a place that has a fabulous history, and we still honor God here every day. And we hope that when they leave here that it was the best part of their day. We are retail.